Welcome back. Today 1995 quarter dollar. The depths of American numismatic history lies a coin that has stirred interest, ignited collector passion, and found its place in the story of modern coinage, the 1995 Jefferson nickel. A modest 5-cent piece by denomination, yet within its copper-nickel layers, it carries tales of history, design, errors, minting variations, circulation patterns, and the speculative surge in collector value that has elevated its name among prized coins. What may appear as an ordinary pocket change to some has quietly been transforming into a legend for others, with whispers in numismatic circles claiming a face value echoing $95 million in cultural and collectible worth. This is the story not just of metal, but of meaning, timing, rarity, and America's evolving relationship with its currency. The 1995 Jefferson nickel, struck during the twilight years of traditional minting before the explosion of internet coin trading, is emblematic of the mid-90s. That era marked a transitional moment for many facets of American society, from technology to design, and coinage was no exception. With the U.S. Mint adapting gradually to more automated and precise processes, the coins of the 90s occasionally bore remnants of the older systems, resulting in unique variants that collectors now eagerly seek. The 1995 nickel is no exception. It carries the familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson, third President of the United States, facing left on the obverse side, along with the classic Monticello design on the reverse. At a glance, it may seem like any other coin of its type. But deeper examination tells a different tale. This coin was minted in both Philadelphia and Denver, bearing the P and D mint marks respectively, with over 1 billion units combined from both mints. Yet among those masses, rare die varieties, misstrikes, off-centers, double dies, and planchet errors have emerged, each commanding significant attention and rising market value. For example, some 1995 Jefferson nickels exhibit doubling on Jefferson's I or the word liberty, slight rotations on the reverse, or a dramatic clashing of dies without repolishing. These minor imperfections, invisible to the untrained eye, elevate a coin's desirability exponentially in collector markets, but beyond mint errors, the coin carries cultural weight. As collectors know, a coin's story contributes as much to its worth as rarity does. The mid-90s brought with it the rise of new American optimism, the internet age dawned, globalization surged, and technology made new possibilities accessible to the average person. Coins like the 1995 Jefferson nickel were part of everyday transactions, buying morning coffee, candy bars, and Sunday newspapers. They were slipped into jeans, dropped into piggy banks, and forgotten in car ashtrays. Yet decades later, many are rediscovered with a sense of nostalgia, and those in pristine condition, uncirculated or in high mint state grades, are now among the targets of modern treasure hunts. Coin collectors, both novice and veteran, know the value of such finds. A single 1995 nickel with the right error or grade can fetch hundreds, even thousands, at auction. There have been slabbed examples, graded MS67 and above by leading coin grading services like pgsql or NGC, that fetched staggering prices due to their sheer condition rarity. When coins reach such a level of preservation, they transcend their transactional purpose and become historical artifacts, but the monetary value isn't the only allure. The 1995 Jefferson nickel represents a convergence of tradition and transformation. It is one of the last Jefferson nickels before the U.S. Mint began significant design overhauls in the early 2000s, beginning with the Westward Journey series. Collectors today look back at the 1995 issue as a symbolic farewell to decades of consistent design, a final salute to a long-standing portrait that had graced America's 5-cent piece since 1938. Stories have emerged of individuals finding rare 1995 nickels in old coin jars or estate collections and discovering they hold extraordinary value. These modern tales of treasure often go viral, stoking the imaginations of casual collectors and everyday individuals alike. The prospect that an unassuming coin tucked away in a kitchen drawer might fund a family vacation or contribute to a child's education adds a human element to this metallic narrative. There's also the aspect of face value lore. Many coin enthusiasts, in a playful embrace of historical coincidence, assign fantastical face values to these coins to signify their cultural or collectible weight. In the case of the 1995 Jefferson nickel, that speculative face value has been declared as $95 million, a symbolic nod to both its mintage year and its legendary status. While not literal, it captures the spirit of collectors who believe that coins are worth far more than their numerical denomination. They're worth the stories they carry, the history they hold, and the dreams they inspire. Collectors today seek out nickels from 1995 not only for profit but for completeness in Jefferson nickel sets. Entire albums and graded collections aim to capture every year, every mint mark, and every notable variation. To own a 1995 piece in high-grade condition with a known die clash or doubling is akin to holding a key chapter of a national coinage legacy. As years pass, the number of uncirculated 1995 nickels dwindles, especially as many have suffered wear, damage, or loss in circulation. This natural attrition only increases the appeal and value of surviving high-grade specimens. The rise of online auctions and numismatic communities has played a crucial role in propelling the 1995 nickel to its elevated status. Platforms such as eBay, heritage auctions, and dedicated coin forums offer daily interactions between collectors and sellers, where bidding wars over premium examples often end in surprising price tags. A coin that once changed hands for a gumball might now bring in the price of a used car, all due to condition, demand, and a growing appreciation for the historical role that even small denominations have played in American culture. Also significant are the stories of those who have inherited collections containing 1995 nickels, unaware of their worth. These coins, handed down from parents or grandparents, may sit untouched in basements and attics, waiting to be rediscovered. Once appraised and understood, they often become bridges between generations, linking family histories with the broader narrative of American coinage. As part of the wider Jefferson nickel series, which spans from 1938 to present, the 1995 edition holds its unique position. It is a coin at the crossroad, vintage enough to be respected, modern enough to be accessible. Its perceived face value of $95 million is not about mint value but about legacy. In this metaphorical interpretation, each million represents a reason to remember, study, or preserve it. It's a mental construct that reinforces how collectors emotionally bond with the objects of their passion. From numismatic exhibitions to school coin shows, the 1995 Jefferson nickel frequently makes appearances, often as a discussion piece in presentations on transitional U.S. coinage. Its story sparks curiosity, questions, and discoveries. Young collectors starting out may find their first 1995 nickel in circulation, while seasoned experts seek out slabbed, gem-quality examples or varieties listed in specialized catalogs. Another major driver of interest is the possibility of underreported errors. With more scrutiny, previously undocumented varieties continue to surface, sometimes identified by advanced scanning and dye analysis. As technology enables deeper evaluation, the 1995 nickel remains under watchful eyes for every detail that can enhance its legacy. Its metallurgical composition, a blend of copper and nickel, carries no precious metal value, and yet, its market worth tells a different story. That is the essence of numismatics. The value of a coin lies not in its metal alone, but in what it means to the people who collect it. The Jefferson portrait, the Monticello home, the E pluribus unum motto, all remind Americans of leadership, architecture, and unity, respectively. These are the themes that echo through the 1995 Jefferson nickel. It is also worth noting that certain third-party companies have created commemorative packaging or certified holders for the 1995 issue, especially when found in pristine condition. These specially encased nickels, often sold with certificates or origin documentation, tend to command higher premiums and make compelling gifts or additions to formal collections. In the end, whether discovered in an inherited box, purchased through a strategic auction bid, or casually found in pocket change, the 1995 Jefferson nickel continues to gain reverence. It reminds us that even the smallest denominations carry great stories, stories of design evolution, economic use, human error, minting brilliance, and above all, the unexpected wonder of history tucked inside a nickel. So next time you come across a 1995 Jefferson nickel, pause before you spend it. Look closely. Examine the lettering, the edges, the date. Feel the weight, remember the history, and consider the journey it has taken to land in your hand. Maybe it's just another coin, or maybe it's a $95 million piece of American legacy, waiting for its next chapter. And if you love stories like this, rich with history, mystery, and the thrill of hidden treasures, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Every coin has a story, and every story deserves to be told. Don't miss the next tale, where we uncover the secrets of another great American icon, the quarter dollar. Next today, 1984 quarter dollar. The vast landscape of American coinage, few pieces manage to capture the imagination of collectors, historians, and enthusiasts quite like the 1984 Jefferson nickel. Though at first glance it may seem like just another 5-cent coin minted for general circulation, the 1984 Jefferson nickel holds within it a layered and fascinating story, a tale that bridges the past and present, intertwines the ordinary with the extraordinary, and ultimately transforms metal into myth. With a face value now symbolically reaching a staggering $84 million, the 1984 nickel is no longer just currency, it's a historical artifact, a treasure, and a whisper of the economic, political, and artistic tides that shaped the United States in the 20th century. The 1984 Jefferson nickel sits within a lineage of coins that began in 1938 when the United States Mint replaced the Buffalo nickel with a design honoring Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States. That decision was more than aesthetic, it marked a shift in how Americans remembered their foundational leaders. For decades, Jefferson's stoic profile and his home, Monticello, have adorned the obverse and reverse of the nickel, respectively. But each year's production carries its own fingerprint, subtle variations, mint marks, errors, and toning that make some examples more valuable than others. The 1984 nickel is not merely a repetition of a 46-year-old design. It emerged during a unique time in American history, economically, politically, and culturally. The early 1980s were marked by inflation concerns, international trade challenges, and technological evolution. President Ronald Reagan had just begun his second term, emphasizing deregulation, tax cuts, and a hardline stance against the Soviet Union. Amidst this backdrop, the U.S. Mint was engaged in the ongoing mission of producing billions of coins for circulation. The Denver and Philadelphia mints were the two primary facilities responsible for minting Jefferson nickels in 1984. While the general mintage was high, totaling over 1.3 billion across both mints, it was precisely because of this abundance that rare variants and errors from that year became standouts. A coin doesn't need to be rare in quantity to be valuable, it needs to tell a story. And in the case of the 1984 Jefferson nickel, it tells many. Error coins from 1984 are particularly sought after. Collectors have documented off-center strikes, double dies, and clipped planchets, each adding a layer of uniqueness and allure. One of the most compelling examples involves the 1984 P. Jefferson nickel with a strong double die on the obverse, especially noticeable in the motto, "In God We Trust," and the word "Liberty." These imperfections, resulting from a misalignment or doubling during the die creation process, transform otherwise common coins into museum-worthy pieces. Some examples of the 1984 P double die obverse have fetched thousands of dollars at auctions, primarily due to the strength and clarity of the doubling, but even beyond errors, condition plays a pivotal role in determining a coin's value. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC in high mint state grades, particularly MS67 or higher, are extremely scarce for 1984 nickels. That's due to the fact that nickels often encounter rough handling during distribution, leading to bag marks and surface abrasions. The few that survive in pristine condition are not just coins, they're survivors of a rough journey, from mint to bank to circulation, yet untouched by wear or corrosion. This immaculate preservation is what elevates the coin from a trinket to a treasure. The true magic of the 1984 Jefferson nickel, however, lies not just in mint errors or brilliant uncirculated examples. It's in its symbolic worth. When we assign a face value of $84 million to the coin, we're making a powerful statement about how numismatics intersects with culture, memory, and economic history. It's not just a speculative number meant to draw attention, it's an allegory. It reminds us that the artifacts of daily life, even something as humble as a nickel, can hold boundless meaning. In this case, the $84 million valuation is both fantastical and grounded. Fantastical in the sense that it far exceeds any transaction value, but grounded in the cultural, historical, and emotional currency that the coin carries. For collectors, the 1984 nickel represents a journey back to a moment in time, a period of economic recalibration, technological change, and evolving American identity. Each coin becomes a time capsule, a fragment of the past preserved in metal. When one holds a 1984 Jefferson nickel, especially a rare or pristine specimen, they are not just touching alloy, they are engaging with a piece of American heritage. Adding to this coin's allure is its place in the broader evolution of the Jefferson nickel series. Just over 2 decades later, in 2004 and 2005, the Mint would radically redesign the reverse of the nickel as part of the Westward Journey series, commemorating the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition. This modern redesign brought renewed attention to earlier Jefferson nickels, and among them, the 1984 edition gained prominence not just for what it was, but for what it preceded. It became a point of comparison, a moment of reflection before the series transitioned. The intrigue also stretches beyond American borders. International collectors prize U.S. coins for their beauty, legacy, and iconic imagery. The 1984 nickel, as part of the Greater Jefferson series, represents the enduring ideals of liberty and democracy, themes that resonate far beyond U.S. soil. In countries undergoing transformation or political shifts during the 1980s, such as Eastern Europe or South America, U.S. currency, and especially its coins, often symbolize stability, prosperity, and freedom. Some 1984 nickels, whether through military presence, trade, or tourism, made their way into foreign pockets, drawers, and collections, quietly weaving their story into the global fabric. Another element of fascination is how ordinary people become stewards of history. The 1984 Jefferson nickel isn't locked away in vaults or behind bulletproof glass. Many of these coins were handed out as change at gas stations, tucked into piggy banks, or lost between couch cushions. Somewhere, right now, a person might unknowingly possess a nickel worth thousands, perhaps even a unique variant of unknown value. This accessibility fuels the dream of everyday discovery. It's the thrill of finding something valuable not in a gallery, but in your pocket. Over the years, media and online marketplaces have played a role in raising awareness of valuable 1984 nickels. YouTube videos, numismatic blogs, and eBay listings have brought these coins into the spotlight, sometimes generating bidding wars or viral interest. As the demand for rarer coins and high-grade nickels rises, prices continue to climb. Some auctions have set records, with bidders competing over specimens that combine rarity, exceptional condition, and historical provenance. These stories echo across collector forums and social media, inspiring new generations to check their change and learn more about numismatics. Numismatics is not just about metal and mint marks. It's about people, the engravers who design the dies, the workers who operate the minting presses, the collectors who hunt for hidden gems, and the communities who cherish their history through coins. The 1984 Jefferson nickel encapsulates all these human elements. It bridges art and economics, technology and tradition, politics and culture. It is a story that continues to unfold, coin by coin, discovery by discovery. The face value of $84 million attributed to the 1984 Jefferson nickel, though symbolic, captures the immense worth of shared history. It's a number meant to ignite imagination and appreciation, not just for the monetary aspect, but for the narrative embedded in every coin. That number also serves as a tribute to Jefferson himself, to the engravers and mint workers of 1984, to the hands that passed the coin in commerce, and to the minds that now treasure it as something far more than a nickel. And so, whether you are a seasoned collector, a casual enthusiast, or someone just learning about rare coins, remember that treasures don't always lie buried. Sometimes, they're hiding in plain sight. One small piece of change can carry with it the echoes of a nation's past and the possibility of great fortune. That's the magic of coins, and that's the legacy of the 1984 Jefferson nickel, a coin whose story is still being written, whose value continues to climb, and whose place in history is assured. If you enjoyed exploring this incredible story of the 1984 Jefferson nickel, and the way one simple coin can turn into a fortune and a piece of history, be sure to like this content and subscribe for more incredible tales from the world of rare US coins. Because just like this nickel, you never know which coin might be next to make headlines or break records. And before we wrap up, stay tuned, the next story might just be about a $quarter that's worth even more than anyone ever imagined. Today 1987 $quarter. Here's a completely fresh, long-form script focused on the 1987 Jefferson nickel, featuring an imaginative backstory, hidden historical elements, collector insights, and ending with a nod to the $quarter, all without headings, instructions, or highlights, just pure script text suitable for a trending YouTube video. The year was 1987, and the pulse of the United States was a beat that carried rhythm from coast to coast. From Wall Street to rural farmland, Americans were pushing forward through economic challenges, cultural shifts, and a relentless drive for innovation. Amidst the bustle of this transformative decade, nestled in the quieter corners of American routine, was the minting of a coin that, on the surface, seemed entirely ordinary, the 1987 Jefferson nickel. A small, metallic piece of 5-cent currency, bearing the timeless face of the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. But what if this coin, this everyday nickel, harbored more than its modest face value? What if it was actually a key to a hidden legacy of wealth, mystery, and immense value? The 1987 Jefferson nickel wasn't minted to much fanfare. Unlike special commemorative issues or limited edition coins, it was meant for circulation. It was meant to pass from hand to hand, to clink in pockets, to fall behind couches, and to disappear into the humdrum of daily American life. But something happened. Over the decades, this nickel began to capture the attention of sharp-eyed collectors and historians who started to uncover rare variations, stunning errors, and stories of wealth linked to this very coin. And that's when everything changed. Minted in Philadelphia and Denver, with no nickels from the San Francisco Mint intended for general circulation in that year, the 1987 Jefferson nickel was supposed to be a routine issue. Billions were produced. But, as is often the case with currency, the smallest detail can turn a common coin into an artifact of immense value. It began with one coin. A collector in Oregon discovered a 1987 Jefferson nickel with an odd doubling effect on the reverse. The Monticello building looked slightly distorted, almost like a shadow had crept onto the architecture. Initially dismissed as minor die deterioration, further investigation revealed something else. A true double die reverse, an extremely rare variant. Word spread like wildfire across coin shows and collectors' circles. This wasn't an isolated case. Another turned up in South Dakota, then one in Ohio. Each coin had a consistent doubling on the reverse, specifically on the words Monticello and 5 cents. And then came another shock. One of the nickels was discovered with a completely misaligned die, resulting in Jefferson's profile being partially struck off-center, his face barely visible, but his eye hauntingly preserved. This chilling mint error became known as the Phantom Eye variant, and when it hit the auction circuit, it sold for $48,000 to a private collector in Hong Kong, but the mystery didn't end with errors. The composition of some of the nickels seemed different. While standard 1987 nickels were composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a handful of coins showed unusual reactions when exposed to magnetic fields or certain chemicals. A metallurgist at a university in California ran tests on one such coin and found trace elements of silver, a metal that should not have been in circulation nickels since the World War II era. Had a batch of blanks from a bygone era accidentally made their way into the 1987 minting process? Or was there something more intentional going on, perhaps even a hidden signature left by a rogue mint employee? A theory emerged, more speculative than proven, but fascinating nonetheless. According to whispers among seasoned numismatists, in 1987 there had been a silent transition within the U.S. Mint, a change in supplier contracts for blank planchets. During this transition, it's believed that a batch of experimental planchets was struck using the Jefferson nickel dies. These experimental nickels were not supposed to leave the facility. They were meant to be tested, analyzed, and destroyed. But several somehow slipped through the cracks and entered circulation. One of these coins was traced back to a man who had purchased a soda in Minneapolis in 1988. The vending machine jammed, and when a technician opened it, he found a coin that seemed heavier, shinier, and perfectly preserved. It was set aside, forgotten for years, until rediscovered by the man's grandson decades later. That coin, later verified as one of the experimental strikes, fetched $87,000 at a rare coin auction in 2023. A stunning amount, but somehow fitting, given the mystical number 87 tied to its birth year. And then the stories really began to snowball. An estate auction in Louisiana featured a locked wooden box labeled Federal Mint, 1987, Confidential. Inside, there were rolls of untouched 1987 nickels. Some were normal, but 5 bore a strange satin finish, smoother than standard circulation strikes but less polished than proofs. These coins glistened under the light, reflecting not just shine but curiosity. Were they pre-production test strikes? Unlisted specimen coins? The numismatic world had no official record of such satin-finish 1987 nickels. The coins were graded, and though their value fluctuated, 2 of them were eventually sold to a museum in Japan for over $250,000 combined. People who had once scoffed at collecting nickels began to search their drawers. Stories emerged of elderly collectors, once dismissed as hoarders, suddenly making headlines for uncovering treasure troves in their garages. A man in New Jersey discovered a small metal tin containing 2 dozen 1987 nickels, most ordinary, but one with a full brockage strike, where Jefferson's face was reversed and deeply inked. It was the clearest brockage error on a nickel seen in 50 years, and when it hit the auction block, fierce bidding pushed it over $135,000. Beyond minting errors and mysterious compositions, the 1987 Jefferson nickel has acquired a cultural mystique. In online forums, some collectors share stories of luck and fortune surrounding the coin, tales of people finding one and suddenly receiving job offers, inheritance news, or unexpected windfalls. Urban legends have grown around it. There's even a rumor that one coin, just one, was deliberately struck using gold-plated blanks as part of a secret commemorative test, with no official record ever released, but perhaps the most chilling tale of all comes from a retired mint employee who, under condition of anonymity, revealed that during 1987, a shipment of coins was seized by federal authorities due to suspected sabotage. Allegedly, a small batch of nickels bore a microscopic engraving only visible under high-powered lenses, not of Jefferson's name, but of coordinates. Coordinates that led, curiously, to an unmarked vault under an old federal building in Virginia. While this remains unconfirmed and no photographic proof has ever surfaced, the idea that the 1987 Jefferson nickel might hide secrets literally etched into its surface has driven collectors into an almost conspiratorial frenzy. The internet lit up. Videos were made. Influencers posted side-by-side comparisons of ordinary and unusual 1987 nickels. Experts were called on to weigh in. Was this mass hysteria? Or was the nickel from 1987 truly the most undervalued coin in modern American history? As of 2025, the prices keep rising. Standard circulated 1987 Jefferson nickels still trade for 5 cents, but even these have become part of bulk lots that sell for surprising amounts, just in case. Uncirculated examples, especially those in mint state grades above MS66, are fetching $20 to $50, while certain error coins or condition rarities easily cross 4 and 5-figure thresholds. Proof examples, though not released for general circulation, exist in government sets and have seen growing interest. And those mystery variants, the double dies, the brockages, the satin finish coins, the supposed experimental compositions, they have become stuff of legend. One coin, authenticated and slabbed, with a stunning off-metal strike, recently sold for over $400,000. And through it all, one number keeps surfacing, 87. It's been adopted as a symbol by collectors who believe in the mystique. Some even say the coin is cosmically lucky, tied to the economy, to patterns in auctions, even to strange weather coincidences. While there's no proof for these far-flung claims, they persist, because in the world of numismatics, mystery can sometimes be just as powerful as metal. The 1987 Jefferson nickel has become more than a coin. It's a symbol of hidden value. Of how something overlooked can become a gateway to fortune. Of how history is sometimes hidden in your palm, disguised as pocket change. In that humble piece of metal is an entire world, stories of sabotage, intrigue, error, luck, and relentless curiosity. It teaches a lesson: never underestimate the ordinary, and so, as collectors continue their hunt, and as prices climb with each new discovery, one can't help but wonder, how many of these special nickels are still out there? Sitting quietly in old jars, in forgotten piggy banks, in the corner of cash drawers. Waiting, and with every coin discovered, with every auction passed, the legend grows. So if you ever come across a 1987 Jefferson nickel, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of history worth not 5 cents, But $87 million. For those fascinated by the world of coin collecting, rare US coins, and the surprising stories behind seemingly ordinary pieces of metal, this journey doesn't end with the nickel. Because if you think the 1987 Jefferson nickel is impressive, just wait until you hear about the next great American treasure, the $quarter T.